In this video, we're going to discuss how to find the most commonly used tools in MicroStation. What different methods do we have to do that? So first of all, on the drawing workflow in the Home tab here, you're going to see attributes, and this is again where we can change level, color, style, and weight, which is something we do frequently. To the right, we have primary, and this is where we're going to see attached tools. If I go here, I see references, raster manager. These are things again that we do frequently. There's a shortcut icon which will just open the reference file dialog box. By clicking that, that just opens it directly up. So I don't have to go and pick, because that is something that is probably most commonly used. To the right of that is selection. Here's my element selection tool, very popular tool. To the right here, we have placement. Placement is a grouping of all kinds of different tools, everything from place smart line to place text. We've got the place smart line, place line, we have arcs, we have circles, blocks, B-splines, we also have text here, and we also have cells. So this is most commonly used tools when you place them. To the right, we have our manipulate tools. We've got copy, move, scale, rotate, and there's our copy parallel. And you're going to see these little icons that if I hover over it, it says more. If I click on that, you'll see that there's additional tools. So not all of them fit on that group. So you will see a more on occasion. To the right of that is my modify. There's modify element, there's break, there's trim multiple. There's also your change element attributes. Now we have taken two separate toolboxes from the past, which was change attributes and modify, which were two separate toolboxes, and we've combined them together. So modify and change element attribute are all on the same group. So if I click that, you can see there's change element attribute, there's change element fill. Here under the groups group, we have create region. We've got create complex chain, create complex shape. We also have our drop tool, and underneath the button here, we have basically all the drop tools like drop complex status, line string shape, association, drop multi-line. They're all grouped together. Now that's just a shortcut of how you get to some of the more commonly used tools. The tabs across the top basically break the tools into different categories or groups. So I'm going to go to View, and this is where we're going to have our View Previous, View Next. These are also available along the view border here. But we also have saved views and windows and our view groups over here. The next tab is Annotate. Obviously, text falls under the category of Annotate. We also have notes, dimensions. We have tables, which will be discussed in a different video. We have cells, patterns, and then also terrain model. The next tab is Attach, and this kind of covers all the things that you can attach from reference files all the way to a database. We have Analyze, which would make logical sense that our measure tools are located under there. We have all of our curves. We also have constraints, and we have utilities. And this is where the things like, for example, opening the MDL application dialog would be located. Also, to know if you have a geographic coordinate system attached to the file, and if you wanted to attach one, that would be located under the Utilities tab. We also have drawing aids, which would be AccuDraw snaps, locks. We have content, which collects a lot of different things. We have item types, cells, presentation names, things like that. Now this is where it gets specific to Caltrans. There's a tab that says CT. Now this is where we have the CT primary. We tried to group together the tools as they were in the prior version of MicroStation V8i. This is where we have our CT line styles. Something new is called Sheet Manager, Element Template. These are new items. Under CT Utilities, we've got things like Ref to RCD. Under Caltrans websites, this is resources for you to help you to learn more about MicroStation and also read from the forums, and you can go to videos. And here we have some shortcuts. For example, CAD User's Manual, the Plans Prep Manual. And if you need to speak with support and you need to have them see your screen, this is where the MicroStation rooms are. And then we've got Project Folder and User Folder. This is where if you wanted to open Windows Explorer and see the folder the file you have open is located, that'll do that for you. Under CT Tools, this is where we have our CT cell tools, just as we had them listed before. Our curves, our civil tools, some of our masking tools, a design check, miscellaneous, and CT view tools. The last CT tab is CT text tools. Again, these are icons that allow us to set the attributes for placing text for like titles and property boundary and state and county lines, things like that. You have different scales. You have 1 inch equals 50 here. You have 1 to 5, 1 to 10, 1 to 20, 1 to 100. And the last group here is Bentley Text Tools. Now this is a grouping of all kinds of different tools that refer to text. Everything from text, just placing text, to placing text along, to a note, to spell check, changing case, everything including a table if you wanted to place that. So this was the basic tabs across the top. Now if you're unable to find a tool, so let's say you were looking for the Ref to RCD tool and you just didn't know which tab it was located under, you can come up to the search ribbon, and this will search not only the MicroStation default ribbon in their tabs, but anything that's added in there by any user or organization. So if I was looking for the Ref to RCD utility, if I come up to the search and I type in Ref, the number 2, you'll see it finds the load, the run, and the instructions for that. So this isn't just for MicroStation tools, this is for any tools that are included in the ribbon. So there are other things that you may want to search for up there. Now on the search, you may find it, let's say for example, you're looking for the design file settings in MicroStation. Now that's located in the backstage, but if I just type in DES, you're going to see it's going to start showing me a list of things that have that in there. And you can see there's design file setting. Now if I select that, this will open my design file settings dialog. I'm just going to go ahead and hit cancel. Now if I wanted to get back to that, I don't have to type in DES all over again. I can come up to the search ribbon and there's a little down button here, a little chevron. If I click on that, what it's going to show me is a history of searches that I've done. There, so you can see at the top where it says most recently used. So if I select that, design file settings, that will open it up again. So that's quick access to tools that you don't use that frequently. I'm going to go ahead and cancel that. I'm going to go back to the Home tab. Another way for you to find tools that you use every day, and this is my personal favorite, this is the space bar. So I'm going to slide over here so you can see this. I'm going to, on my keyboard, I'm going to tap the space bar, and what you're going to see at my cursor is the pop-up menu. Now the first and the third row, these bring up secondary dialogues. The second row are discrete in that they launch that tool. So let's take a look and see what's in the first row. The first one we have is attributes. If I click on that, this will open up my attributes toolbar. Again, very little movement of my cursor on the screen. So I'm going to hit escape to cancel that. I'm going to hit the space bar. The next one is going to be primary. Now what you may note is that this is the same as the tabs across the top. So I've got primary, selection, I have placement, I've got manipulate, and so on. Now the second row, as I mentioned, is discrete in that it does not bring up a secondary dialog. If I go to the first icon there, that's element selection, then I've got move and copy. Again, these are the most commonly used tools within MicroStation. The third row is another grouping of tools. There's measure, there's going to be my text, dimensioning, callouts, patterns, and then there's going to be AccuDraw, and then my snaps, and the last one is going to be my locks.